don't support a bubble wrap generation. I think we should all be accountable for our actions. So, but since you brought up the downtown patrol, it was one of the things I think I talked about when we were here before, that one of the council's strategic goals was to be a safer city. We did a citizen survey. They said they were concerned about downtown, so we turned around and we didn't raise taxes, but we re-engineered again. The police chief came up with a plan. I moved the economic development office off of Haywood. We put a downtown patrol in place, and so they're the ones who are Johnny or Jane on the spot to get the job done. That downtown patrol unit has, since its inception this past fall, has made over 10,000 contacts. Those are business contacts and public contacts. They've made 523 arrests. There have been 2,780 hours or more patrol downtown, and that's proactive. That's not just respond to these. But if you're not there, you're not the presence, you're not there with bikes and segways, you couldn't respond in 48 seconds and gotten 11 out of 30, an estimated 30. So we're seeing quite a bit of benefits from that re-engineering. And so we'll continue to try to use our dollars better and show the impact of it. Next question.
You mentioned that we wanted deluxe services, but we wanted a Walmart price. Mm-hmm. You had a burning fire truck sitting in the middle of an intersection, and you asked the rhetorical question, would anybody vote for, or how about a tax increase, a property tax increase? Is there a political will on behalf of the council to do such a thing?
There is the will of the council is to hold the line on the cost of government. The will of the council is to systematically and go through and figure out, not in our core services, but in elective services. If it's an elective service where you want us to come out and do something for you, or you want to ride the bus, register for a park and recreation program, that you pay the incremental cost. And when it comes to the water fund, which is strictly an enterprise fund, that's where you see the best example of it. Those who benefit, those who use the service, should pay the cost of it, and there shouldn't be any transfer. So the will of the council is to do the very best they can with the means that are there and to not raise the cost of government on people right now.
Gary, I have two questions, please. Mm-hmm. The first one is, I know in the private sector, about 5 or 6 years ago when I was in it before retiring, we started to take a look at pensions. And so we changed most of our pensions to 401ks. So that gave it up to the employees. Plus the fact, I guess, there was also cost cutting in other areas. Mm-hmm. And the other area I didn't hear you mention was entitlements. And I know that's a big issue too. And so I'd like to know, where do we stand on that? And then my second question has to do with traveling. I come to church here on Sundays, and also on Tuesdays to Civitan. On Patton Avenue, I get off the highway. It's less than a quarter of a mile, but I have to stop at 3 lights. Also, when I drive down Hendersonville Road, to get on at Long Shoals and get to the Parkway, again, it's definitely 3 lights. My wife makes fun at me because I always hit all the lights, so she knows what I'm going to do. But I know one time we drove in Shreveport, and there were 15 lights. And I made all 15 in downtown Shreveport. But, Gary, I can't get from there to here without stopping 2 and sometimes 3 times. So that's synchronization. And
okay, in terms of pensions, entitlements, that's what we've largely been doing in balancing the budget the last few years. The personnel costs are 70% of our budget. So what we've done is we've frozen salaries, we've done early retirement programs, we have a state retirement plan that we contribute to, and actually we we have a significant $500,000 hit in this year's budget because the state has told us, the state pension fund has told us that for our participation, we're going to have to pay $500,000 more this year than in the past. So we're locked in there with that program. We have a modest deferred compensation program. It's mandated by the state for police officers at 3%. The county, by comparison, has an 8% deferred compensation that they pay for out of your tax dollars. So we have a very modest pension program by most comparisons. And that's where your entitlements come in. We don't have collective bargaining, we don't have unions, so we're not locked into pay raises. We are self-insured, which is beneficiary because our organization is of the size that was mentioned, that it's more economical for us to buy stop-loss insurance for major catastrophes and cover up to what a bus would do if it took out 3 buildings downtown. But so we're in terms of the healthcare costs, this is it's a watershed year for us where we're shifting over to an 80-20 participation with employees. Before they did not have that. They paid their premiums, their co-pays. There was no participation in the cost outside of the physician's office. So if you went for a procedure or you went for a special test or an MRI, in the past, you did not participate in the cost. Beginning this year, employees will be paying 20%. So everything that the private sector is doing, we're mimicking in terms of our employee relations. So far, our employees are holding up pretty well. So far, they're holding up. We would like to be in the place that Buncombe County is, that in April or sometime next spring, that we're in a position where we've held the line on their compensation for 2 years. We've cut back the number of positions, and still the service expectations are really pretty high. You know what that means. You know, for the people that didn't retire, didn't go out when those companies got lean and mean, and what happened there. So it's a challenging situation, but we have done what you would suggest and then some. It's sort of like the fire truck. We're approaching the point where we're asking about as much as we can ask from our employees.
How about the lights?
It's traffic signals. This is a Mother May I state. It's not a home rule state. All those roadways you mentioned are Department of Transportation, State of North Carolina. There's a synchronization program that's being implemented, was called for by the city well over a decade ago on Hendersonville Road. The synchronization is a traffic management system that it would take to transform the Department of Transportation system. Is estimated to be $1 million expense, and it is a priority for the council, and they've communicated that to the Metropolitan Planning Organization, which has the most say in our region on how federal and state dollars get spent. So we're begging for it, and I think that's where we are in terms of the state, that it's not just here, it's throughout the state, that people are really supporting traffic management programs. There's just only so many highway loops that can be built throughout the state to relieve traffic. There's just so many ways. And what you may have seen on the front page today was a vice mayor and on a bicycle. And so, you know, we're advocating, you know, people are going to have to choose other modes of transportation. We're going to have to put the sidewalks in. We're going to have to provide the bike lanes. We're going to have to encourage development on transit corridors. So that's where we're headed, because believe it or not, notwithstanding the Great Recession, people still want to come here. And they're going to come here, and they're going to live up to 60 miles away and drive to downtown. Our daytime population doubles. It goes up more than any other population on a daytime basis in the state. It's not just tourism. It's Mission Hospital, it's UNC Asheville, it's the banks, it's the downtown commerce. And so that's part of that Crossroads paper I would suggest you look at. That's where we are. Yes, sir.
Gary, When I came to Asheville in 1968, the city hall was full